Hi, my name is Nathan. You're watching Nice at Dice, and today I am taking a look at a new product that I just got to check out. This is a board game organizer for the game Eminent Domain. It's from a company called Folded Space. Essentially what it is a kit to put together a foam core box insert. So it's a insert. You can kind of get a look at what it's supposed to look like when it's all put together. Basically, you just put this together, you put it inside the box of the game, and it lets you, or helps you organize the game and all of its expansions. So I have the game, Eminent Domain, and I have all of its expansions. And I have them, all the contents sort of organized in the box right now, but I'm hoping that this will help me to make it more organized, which helps facilitate getting the game set up and can even help out during playing the game to some extent. Now, I've bought other organizers like this for different games, usually from a company called The Broken Token. They do organizers like this, but they're wooden organizers, so I put together quite a few of those, and I even have a video of me putting together one from them for the game Mystic Vale. So I'll put a link to that in the description of this video in case you want to check that out. But this is the first time I've gotten one that's made from like that foam board, so that's going to be kind of new. It's the first time getting one from Folded Space. So I figured I don't really know exactly what to expect from this, but I would go ahead and take it apart or open it up, put it together, go ahead and record that process so you can kind of get an idea of what the process is like. See if that's something that you'd be interested in, if this is a product that would be helpful to you. And then I'll just kind of share some of my impressions of it when we get to the end of the video. I'm going to speed up a lot of it because I expect this to take me a little while to put everything together. So I'll speed it up for you so you don't have to sit here for an hour or more watching this. But anyhow, we'll get right to it, and then I'll come back and I'll just share some of my thoughts on it afterwards. Alright, so I thought before I really get into putting together the insert from Folded Space, I would just kind of give you a little bit of like a before image, just kind of show you how I have the game organized right now. So you have your various rule books for the game and its expansions. On top here, you have the board for the game. The game has a couple of boards, a big board and a small board. And then you have a bunch of the, like all the main cards for the game over here. Tokens, various tokens in bags. We have another bag over here with some tokens in it as well. So you got that. I've got a little promo pack with some cards right here that I got. And then I have these deck boxes, and each of these deck boxes basically has some of the content from one of the expansions. So there's 3 expansions, and I have the content for the expansions basically split up into these deck boxes. So it is somewhat organized. It's not that it isn't organized at all, but I'm hoping that this insert will help me to make things even more organized. Alright, so I can say right away, just comparing this to a wooden insert, because that's what I'm used to, that this, I can tell already that this is going to be lighter. It's a lighter weight product, so that's kind of nice. I think that's probably a plus overall. Has step-by-step instructions. They seem pretty clear. Okay, so they give you some nice like tips and instructions there. And it's basically everything comes on these 3 sheets of foam board. So 2 of them are the same and 1 of them is different. And it looks like we can just kind of punch the pieces out. Yep. And now I'm wondering, maybe I probably shouldn't go through and punch all of these out just yet. Let's go ahead and take a moment and look more closely at the instructions, and we'll just sort of punch things out as we need them. So we'll go ahead and build tray 1 first. So that's going to involve, basically just the stuff I was punching out anyway. So, all right. Okay, so I have all the pieces punched out that I need to create one of the trays, the first tray. And they suggest that you do sort of like a dry run of assembling it before you glue everything together. So, yeah, so let's do that. So, looks like we have this piece here, and we're going to take one of these, stick it in between there. Another one goes here. Okay, well, everything's snapping together pretty nicely so far. Now, one of the things about this is with the wooden trays that I'm accustomed to, they go together very tightly. At least from the Broken Token, the ones that I usually get from them, they go together very tightly, and they do advise using wood glue on the joints in those. But I have found that with the Broken Token, their cuts are so precise that I often don't really feel the need to glue more than like one or two joints. This one, they're advising you to glue everything. And I don't know if I'm going to do that because I have been finding that just putting this together, it's like, you know what, that went together really nice. It went together pretty tight. Yeah, I don't know if I really need to glue that. I don't know. That one doesn't fit on real tight. Let's see. Yeah, alright, so these little pieces, this little piece here, this little piece here, they don't fit on real tight, but these pieces in the middle I think are plenty tight without any glue. I'm not sure that they would come apart. Maybe what I'll do is I'll glue like this middle one on each side, and then I'll glue on the ends. Maybe something like that. That'll probably hold it together pretty well. So the reason why I'm not like super excited about gluing everything is just because that's more work if you have to glue everything together. And for the most part, these trays are gonna just sit in the box. They're not gonna come out of the box. So I don't know really like that there's gonna be a lot of stress on them to where it's that essential that you glue them like that. All right, so we glued this one. We're gonna flip it over and glue this one, and then we'll glue on the ends. Okay. All right, so I think that's the first tray successfully assembled. Oh, I'm seeing there's a pretty big glob of glue right there. All right, so I'm already not liking the messiness of the glue, but I guess that's just unavoidable. So we'll see how it goes. But already I can tell you I like how the Broken Token's wooden inserts really require very little glue, maybe one or two joints per insert that I've put together. And I can see already this is going to need more glue, and that's just makes it a slightly messier, slightly more involved project. So there's that, but we'll keep moving along and see how the rest of the experience goes. All right, so I got one of these card trays put together. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. It's really annoying working with all this glue. But there's no way this is going to hold together without the glue. So the glue is absolutely necessary, but it's just messy, and you got to try and wipe up all the excess glue wherever you can. And yeah, it's just kind of a pain. So not real thrilled with that, but we'll keep plugging along and see how the rest of it goes together. All right, so I got this next card holder put together. My impression of this hasn't changed yet. The glue is just messy. It's kind of a pain. I'm trying to clean it up, as much as I can. But it's hard to do because as you're trying to wipe up the excess, you're like tearing it apart, tearing the pieces apart. So it's that's kind of frustrating. So overall, my experience with this has been kind of frustrating, but we'll see. Maybe I'll still be happy with the finished result. So we will keep moving. All right. So that's another little tray done. Again, I don't know how well you can see, but there's like a lot of excess glue in there, and it's pretty much impossible to wipe out because it's just if you work too hard at cleaning it up, it's gonna tear the whole thing apart. So that's a little disappointing, but maybe it won't have a big impact on the finished product. We'll see. So one thing I've noticed about this whole process is I've had to get up and wash my hands like after just about every one of these trays that I put together, because I just get so much glue on my hands trying to glue everything together, and then I don't want to transfer that all onto the next thing that I'm working on. So that's been a bit of a nuisance, but that's just, I guess, part of the process here. Okay, looks like I'm down to my last tray that I got to assemble here. Alright, so I've got everything assembled, put together, glued. I'm going to leave it out to allow the glue to dry for a while, probably a couple of hours. And then I'll come back and we'll see about putting everything in the box and filling up the different compartments. See how that works. Alright, so I was going to leave these to dry for about an hour, but I ended up leaving them overnight because it was kind of late when I was finishing up anyway. So let's go ahead and check them out and see how they turned out. So I don't want to put like a ton of stress on them because I'm not super confident about their durability. But I don't know that they're supposed to be, you know, like unbreakable anyway, so that's not necessarily a knock against them. That's just, you know, acknowledging what they are. But it seems like they've adhered pretty well. The glue is dried and everything seems to be holding up pretty well. So I still don't, I'm not super keen on, as I turn this, you can kind of see maybe a little bit of the flashing where, you know, the glue, it's dried, it's clear, but it's still just a little bit messy in here. And you can't see it too much on camera. Let's see, there was like a moment there where it really caught the light and you could see it a little, yeah, like right there, you can see that's much more noticeable in person. So I'm not a big fan of that, but I don't know, you know, like it's just the glue is so messy and you have to glue everything. So I don't know that you can do anything to avoid that. But anyhow, it seems sturdy enough, you know, for practical use. So I'm going to go ahead and see how everything fits in the box, and then I'll get to organizing it. Okay, well, everything fits in there. There's a little bit of, you know, wiggle room over here, over there. Yeah, so, you know, it's not a super tight fit, but you're supposed to be able to pull these in and out to use in gameplay anyway. So I think a little bit of room to move is probably desirable, so you're not putting too much stress on them as you pull them in and out. Now I'm noticing these sit a little bit higher than the rest. So you can't really tell that from above probably, but these trays over here sit just a little bit higher than everything else. And I'm thinking maybe that's, yeah, all right, so that'll fit there. The smaller board will fit here and it doesn't slide that way because this is kind of blocking it. So that seems to be the intention there. Oh, and I guess it's not going to slide this way either because these pieces here stick up just a little bit. So that'll keep this pretty snugly in place. It's not shifting around inside the box. So that's kind of a nice little touch. It's cool that they thought of that. So yeah. All right, so the little board will fit there very nicely. All right, I'm gonna just go ahead and cut away for a moment. I'm gonna organize everything into this just to see how it works, and then I'll come back and show you what that looks like. Okay, so I've got everything organized into the game organizer. So first of all, you do have this section here with all the normal sized cards. You've got the scenarios here in the front is what I've done with that. We've got all the planet cards here, all the technology cards here, and all the basic role cards right here. Now I do have an empty slot, and I'm sort of debating what to do with that. I would sort of like it if you had more than just 4 dividers here, and then you could break things up more. So like for example, the technology cards, when you set the game up, you split them up by these planet requirements in the bottom right corner. So it'd be kind of nice if I could store them divided, you know, in that way. Just be a little bit easier. I mean, I have them organized in here in a sense because I'll have, you know, like all of those planets together. There's a big stack of them, and then you get into the next type of planet, and I got all of those together and so forth. So they are somewhat organized in here. But it would be nice to have, you know, some additional dividers to split them up with. But on the other hand, I can see these dividers are pretty thick, and if you start adding more than just the 4 that are there, they'd start to take up so much space you might run out of room for the cards. Especially if you decided to sleeve your cards. I have these cards unsleeved, but I do like the fact that there seems to be enough space in here to contain all the cards if you were to sleeve them. Now, one thing I'm thinking about using this spot here for is I've considered taking the basic role cards and taking out the starting hands for each player and keeping like a set of starting hands in here ready to go. The only reason I'm hesitant to do that is once you include the Oblivion expansion, I think it's the Oblivion expansion that introduces it. In any case, one of the expansions introduces these scenarios, and once you're using the scenarios, I can totally change the starting hands. So I don't know if it's really practical to keep a set of starting hands, you know, starting decks like set aside when they can be mixed up so much with the use of these scenarios. So I don't know, I'm kind of debating that. We'll see, maybe after I've played the game some more times I can evaluate whether or not that's a change I want to make. But in any case, the cards are relatively organized, and you got them all right there. Then over here you have this tray here. These are all of the starting planet tiles. So you got them all in there. They're easy to pull out because of this little cutout here, so that's nice. I like that. And they all fit in there nicely. And then over here you have all the basically reference tiles. You have the reference tiles that come with the base game, and then you have the additional ones that come with the expansions. And again, they all fit in there nicely, and you got this little slot on the side, you can pull them out, so that's good. Let's see, then you have this, which you have all the little plastic ships of the various denominations. Here's another thing where, for organizational purposes, you know, I can see where it'd be nice, because you have 3 different types of ships, right? So it would be kind of cool to have them all stored separately, but it's fine if you put them all together. You can just, you know, pick through them and find what you need. So it's not a big deal, but just a little observation there. And then you have the clout tokens all go in here, and that sits right on top of those. Now, the bag that those tokens go in, so these tokens go in this bag so that during play you can just pull out a random token. So the bag gets just kind of folded thusly and sat on top of here. And I have to say, that doesn't work super great. It works okay. But I think the idea is that this board is supposed to fit over top of these. And it does, but it's kind of a tight fit once you put the bag there. And I also think, you know, these tokens go in the bag as soon as you start the game, and they just stay in the bag. So it'd be nice if you could keep these in the bag for storage purposes. As it is, you're going to have to dump this tray into the bag, and then at the end, when you're putting everything away, dump the bag back into the tray. It's not a big deal. I'm nitpicking at this point, but it's just, you know, just one thing where it's like, why not just store them in the bag? But I guess it would have been sort of difficult to find a spot for all of that to fit, for these in the bag to fit somewhere in the board. So I'll cut them some slack there. You got this little tray, which this area right here is not used. They just split it up, I think, so that the cards don't move around a whole lot. The cards do move around a little bit, but that just provides room to sleeve them if you wanted to sleeve the agendas. But there you go, and you can pull them out easily through there, so that's nice. So that goes right in there. And then you have here the tokens for additional fleet resources, and then you have the influence tokens here, so that works nicely. And then you have all your resources here, so that is fits together just right. Those fit in there nicely. This board goes here, and that is basically everything. So then you have the main board, which goes on top of everything, and then you just got to throw your rule books in there. So you've got your large rule books and your smaller rule books, and everything goes like so. And we can put the lid on it. All right, and everything fits in the box. As you can see, the lid doesn't go down quite all the way, so there's a small, maybe somewhere between 1/4 of an inch and 1/2 inch that it rises up. Not a big deal to me, but just something to be aware of. So that is the board game organizer for Eminent Domain from Folded Space. Let's go back up top and I'll just give you some closing thoughts on it. All right, so as you no doubt noticed as I was putting it together, I can't help but compare it to the wooden organizers from various companies such as the Broken Token. And I do think that I like the experience of putting together the wooden organizer better. Especially the ones from the Broken Token, they're high quality. The cuts are very precise, so it feels, when you put it together, everything snaps into place very solidly. Like I said, in any one of those organizers, I've only ever had to glue maybe 1 or 2 joints. So it's a lot less messy, it's a lot quicker to put one of those together. This was more time consuming and just a messier experience. So for that reason, I prefer the wooden organizers. I do like that the foam organizer is very light. It's a little bit lighter than the wooden organizers are, so it doesn't add hardly any extra weight to the box, which is kind of a nice thing. But another advantage of the wooden organizers is that everything is a lot thinner. The wood pieces are thinner than the foam board, and so like that section that's organizing the cards, you could have more individual dividers in there and help you to make the cards more organized if it were a wooden organizer as opposed to this foam organizer. So I think overall I'm sort of inclined towards the wooden organizers over the foam organizer. This was an interesting experiment and I think it'll work fine for this game. One advantage of the foam organizers, apart from being lighter, is that they're also generally less expensive. So if your budget is of primary concern, then the foam organizers are a less expensive route to go. So that is one thing in their favor. To me, it's not such a big difference that it would really impact my buying decisions. I think that the quality of the wood organizers is significantly better, and just the overall experience of putting them together is more satisfying for me. So for that reason, I think I'd go for the wood over the foam. even with the price difference. But it's good to know that there is that price difference. That is one advantage of the foam over the wood. So anyhow, those are my overall thoughts on it. I think I'm pretty satisfied with what this is for this game. I think it'll be fine, but I think going forward, I would prefer to shop for the wooden organizers, be it from the Broken Token or any of the other companies that are making those, as opposed to these foam board organizers. That's my overall impressions of it. If you've watched this far, thank you so much for watching. Again, my name is Nathan. This is Nice at Dice, and you enjoy the rest of your day.